You've studied, you've passed your CPC, and now you've landed your first coding job, and your next question is probably going to be, what are those first 30 days going to be like as a medical coder? I know it can feel overwhelming. There's all kinds of crazy new systems. You have to figure out who's getting you access to what systems. You have new coworkers, new teams, new productivity expectations. You're going to be probably facing audits and all kinds of compliance rules and training. So it is a lot. But don't worry, I'm going to walk you through what that first month often looks like, what you're going to be learning, some of the challenges you're probably going to face, and then how to set yourself up for long-term success. If you're new here, hey, I'm Victoria. I'm a medical coder, auditor, educator, and content creator, and on my channel, I provide tips, tricks, and tutorials to help you be successful in a medical coding career. If you haven't already, highly encourage you to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can get alerts when I post new episodes. Now let's kind of break this down into week-long chunks. So your first week is going to be mostly about getting settled. Think of it kind of like your first week of school orientation. There's going to be a lot of things involving learning the land. Typically what it will start with is a lot of HR training and compliance training, things like HIPAA training, what you are and are not allowed to access. There are actually some organizations that will tell you that you are allowed to access your own personal medical record, and then others that are like, no, you can't even access your own stuff. So they're going to go over that with you. I've worked with large healthcare organizations that I was also a patient of. So some of them, they allowed us to access our records. Some of them they did not. So they're going to go over exactly what you will have access to, and then certain things that you may have to have extra security clearance for, things like mental health records. They'll go over security protocols, maybe corporate policies. Oftentimes for large organizations, it may be a very large group session for all new hires in various departments. So if you're in person, you might be getting HIPAA training with other nurses and ultrasound techs and people working in finance, so everyone in that organization. If you're remote, you're probably going to be in a large Zoom session with all kinds of access to chat and stuff if you need to ask questions. They'll likely in that first week also go over your technology setup, getting access to all of the electronic health records and electronic medical record systems, your coding platforms, having access to your company email, setting up your title on your email address appropriately with your name and your credentials and what department you work for. It tends to be chaotic with most organizations as far as finding out later on that you didn't get access or should have gotten access to this and didn't have this. So just kind of bear with everyone and with the IT department. You're probably going to hear terms like sending a ticket. A ticket is basically an IT request. Some people, if you've not worked in a professional setting before, aren't familiar with that term ticket, but that's what that means. It means that there's like almost like a claim for your request that you need, something that can be tracked. And you'll probably meet the rest of your team. Sometimes it's a large coding department, other times it's a handful of coders. Sometimes you might just be part of a large revenue cycle team. Maybe you are just the one or two coders that work there. And you'll likely be doing some shadowing. You're going to be spending some time with other individuals that are either doing coding or similar jobs or jobs that you're going to be working with or part of so that you can learn some of the different systems. And in the first week, they'll probably give you a basic productivity overview, so explaining the different quotas, your turnaround times, but don't worry because they don't expect you to kind of like hit full speed and hit the ground running on day one. They know that it's going to be something that you are building up to. And this is one of the weeks where you really do want to be taking notes like crazy, even if you think you'll remember. These systems are very complex and there's a lot going on. You might even feel just so overwhelmed and fatigued by the end of the week that it's good to build your own little playbook. Now in week 2, you're going to really start getting into the workflow. You'll likely start coding some charts, but in a very controlled fashion. So maybe just a couple of encounters per day. A senior coder or lead coder or supervisor will likely audit every single code that you assign. This isn't to call you out, it is to help you learn, and that will go down eventually. It's not going to be every single code every day for the rest of your life. And you'll practice navigating some different types of documentation. So office visits, outpatient notes, maybe some surgeries, different types of studies. It could really depend based on your specialty. And expect feedback, lots and lots of feedback. And here's the truth. you're gonna make mistakes. Everyone does. The important thing is to treat every correction as a learning opportunity. I know this is hard. Don't take it personally. As coders, we put things out there thinking that it's correct. We dive into stuff and we're like, yep, confident, this is the answer, this is the best I can do. And when we find out that there's something that we didn't know about, or we missed something, and we find out we didn't get it right, we take that very, very personally, and you have to let go of that. And remember to keep a running list of your corrections, because if you see the same feedback twice, like if you misuse a modifier or you're missing a secondary diagnosis, highlight that, because that is something you need to focus on. When you get into week 3, you'll probably start hearing more about things like metrics. In coding, your performance is usually measured by 2 things: productivity and accuracy. So productivity is how many charts or encounters or records can you code in an hour or in a day. And then your accuracy is whether your codes match that documentation and match the payer guidelines. At first, your productivity is going to be low, and that's okay. Most employers know it takes a few months to fully get up to speed. Accuracy, however, is crucial from day one. Even if you're coding slowly, accuracy is really more important than speed in your first few weeks. And then by that 3rd week, you might start handling some more complex cases. Usually they want to kind of cherry pick out some easy ones to start you out with, but then they, by week 3, might be throwing you some more complex ones. See how you can handle this. See how you can handle this complex surgery or this complex case or a difficult specialty. And you might start working a little bit more with things like denials or queries, and communicate more with the providers or the billing staff. This is when they're going to start telling you to start standing a little bit on your own. So if you have provider queries, you're going to have to send an email out to that provider, say, hey, this is the information I need, or this is the question I have, and maybe even introduce yourself to those providers. Don't rush, because you can't build speed unless you first build accuracy. Think of it like driving. You don't start out on the freeway. You start out going very slowly in the parking lot. Now, by week 4, you're probably starting to find your rhythm, getting familiar with where you're supposed to go in the systems and who you're supposed to contact, and you will be likely coding more of a regular workload, maybe like 50% or more of what you are expected to be coding in an hour or a day. You're going to start feeling more comfortable with the different record systems. You're going to get familiar with the shortcuts and templates and where to click on things to find details that you need. You're going to start getting that comfort level. And you're hopefully at that point going to be a little less dependent on your trainer or mentor. This is the week where you're going to start seeing that bigger picture, how your coding might affect some edits that might hit the system later on, or how it might impact some reimbursement. Some of the things that you started coding out, the denials might actually start coming in for them. So you're going to learn more about how to prevent some of those denials. And you might see more of how your work contributes to compliance and to patient care. Now, keep asking for that feedback regularly. Supervisors love when new coders want to continuously improve, when they have that initiative and they're showing initiative without being told that they have to take something on. I'm going to be real, like the first 30 days are freaking tough, but the challenges that you're likely going to face are things like information overload. You're going to feel like you're drowning in acronyms and policies and who to contact and with what system. And that's all normal. A lot of people I know, when they start their job, for the first week, they actually wind up with a little bit of like stress headaches or tension headaches, or they just feel fatigued, like they've been running a marathon all week. That's normal, and it will stop after a little while. Or a lot of people face imposter syndrome because you think, oh my God, did I even like learn anything in medical coding school? Why is this so hard? But trust me, every single coder feels that way for their first month. They all feel like, oh my gosh, I thought I studied everything, but I still feel a little bit unprepared. And system navigation, oh my God, coding books are one thing, but when you're transitioning into different electronic medical record systems and billing software, that is another beast entirely. And time management, this is something I still struggle with. I mean, I guess kind of in my whole life actually, but it's not just about coding. You're going to be juggling emails, queries, you're going to be handling meetings, denials, all kinds of different stuff. But just remember that nobody expects you to be perfect. Employers hire new coders knowing that there's going to be a learning curve. Now here's how to not just survive, but thrive in your first 30 days. Ask lots of questions. The better you have your questions clarified, the more assured you're going to be that you're not going to keep making that same mistake over and over and over and over. Keep a learning journal. So track your feedback, track coding tips, system hacks, all the things that you need to reference back to in case you're afraid, like, I don't know that I'm going to remember this for next time. Stay professional. So even if you are working remotely, show up on time, especially with those Zoom meetings, because sometimes Zoom and Teams have updates and it may take a few minutes. So you don't want to try to log in 1 minute before a meeting and then find out you have a 10-minute update that needs to be done on your system. Be careful of any deadlines they give you and make sure that you are communicating very, very clearly. And give yourself grace because you are building a skill set that does take time. Just stick with it. By the end of your first month, you might not feel like the utmost coding expert, but you will feel like you are a coder, and that is huge. So that's what to expect in your first 30 days as a medical coder: orientation, training, productivity, goals, challenges, and growth. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. But also let me know, what is the thing that you are the most nervous about in your first month as a medical coder? Definitely let me know in the comments. I will see you guys in the next video. And until then, just keep on coding on.